About 4 months in charge of the Labour Ministry, Simon Lalong quits cabinet, resumes at the Red Chambers as a senator in the 10th Senate. Barely 24 hours after a controversial resolution over the political impasse in Rivers State, 26 APC lawmakers withdrew impeachment notice against Governor Fubara during today's plenary. Hello and welcome to Politics Today, reaching you live from our global headquarters here in the nation's commercial nerve center, Lagos. I'm Jeffrey Uzongo. It's a midweek edition of the program and we're counting down to Christmas, which is about 5 days away. But let's begin with the tracking of the polity before we get into all of the excitement of Christmas, which is what the show is actually all about, by telling you that President Bola Tinubu has written a letter to the Senate requesting its consideration and confirmation of 11 nominees for the appointment as justices of the Supreme Court. President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, read the letter during plenary today. The Senate Committee on Judiciary and Legal Matters has therefore commenced screening for the 11 nominees recommended by the National Judicial Council. Now, among the nominees are Justice Haruna Samani, Northeast, that's where it's represented, who chaired the Presidential Election Petition Court, Justice Mo Adumen, South, Justice Juma Sankey from the North Central, Justice Chide Beruwa from the Southeast, and Justice Joma Nwosu Iheme from the Southeast, amongst others. Meanwhile, the Senator Godswill Akpabio has also declared the seats of certain senators vacant. Senator Dave Umahi of Ebonyi South Senatorial District and Senator Gaidam Ibrahim of Yobe, following their resignation of office as ministers. The Senate therefore asked the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to conduct by-elections to fill the vacant seats immediately. Now, former Governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong, has been sworn in as a member of the 10th Senate at the resumption of plenary today. He is a senator representing Plateau South Senatorial District. Mr. Lalong had resigned his appointment as Minister of Labor and Employment in preparation for his swearing-in today. In a letter notifying the president of his resignation, Mr. Lalong explained that his decision follows the Court of Appeal declaration that his duly elected senator representing Plateau South Senatorial District. Consequently, the court had directed the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to issue him certificate of return. So he moved from being a governor to the minister and now to the Senate. Now, it appears the former chairman of the All Progressives Congress and senator representing Edo North at the Senate, Mr. Adams Oshomole, may have stirred the hornet's nest over his comments on the immediate past President Muhammadu Buhari. Senator Oshomole had, at the book launch, accused the former president of not helping him when the APC governors, or some APC governors, moved for his removal as a party chairman. But the former governor of Ogun State, Senator Bikunle Amosun, is talking tough, accusing Senator Oshomole as one whose words could not be taken on the face value. The former governor accused Senator Oshomole of conducting the worst primaries in the history of the country, making them enemies for himself. According to the senator, in his words, if he wanted to insult our leader, President Muhammadu Buhari, he could have come out boldly to do so. But subtle attempt to pass snide remarks at him failed the simple test of loyalty, because the former president also moved from his own party to merge with others like-minded to form the APC. Senator Amosun warned the Edo lawmaker and former governor to desist from dragging the names of innocent people into what he considers needless controversy. Now, today on the show, we will be expanding further on the fragile reconciliation, as some people call it. Some people say it may be peace at last. Some people say it may be a fragile peace. But what does all of this mean? Because today, 26 lawmakers who had defected to the APC from the PDP in the Rivers State House of Assembly sat and made decision of not continuing with the impeachment notice. We'll explore all of that, as well as that resolution. We'll get some expert minds, including a member of the House of Assembly who is part of the 26 members of the Assembly, to talk about this very issue. But for now, let's bring you our political roundup stories.
The House of Representatives wants the 5% user charge on petroleum and diesel pump price to the tune of about 900 billion naira accrued to the Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FEMA, remitted immediately for effective road maintenance across the country. While moving the motion during plenary, Mr. Aderemi Oseni revealed that since the amendment of the FEMA Act in 2007, which made provision for it, the user charge has not been remitted, thereby depriving the agency of the needed funds to carry out its mandate. The Commandant General of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Abubakar Audi, is assuring Nigerians of a safe and conducive environment to mark the Christmas and New Year holidays. He was speaking at the decoration of newly promoted officers of the Corps in Abuja. The Commandant General reminded them that their promotion has come with higher responsibilities and they must remain loyal to the oath of the Corps and be role models for the upcoming ones.
Let me use this opportunity to assure Nigerians of our commitment to a safe, secure environment and a crime-free and very peaceful, united session.
In Benue State, Governor Hyacinth Alia has warned against discriminating against opposition parties in the distribution of palliatives in the state. The governor gave this warning during the flag-off of the third phase of palliative distribution in the state.
All groupings are going to enjoy all the palliatives here, irrespective of your political or religious affiliation.
Abia State Governor Mr. Alex Oti says his administration is committed to the realization of a new Abia State, and he is working hard to ensure that all decayed infrastructure in the state is revived. Governor Oti, who was speaking in Abuja, promised that his government will continue to deliver quality pro-people projects and improve the living standard of the people of the state.
So when you see us devoting 15% of our next year's budget on health care delivery, it is because we want our people to be healthy. And whatever we spend, keeping our people healthy is not lost.
The Rivers State Elders and Leaders Forum has condemned the directives given by President Bola Tinubu at a peace meeting in Abuja. A former governor of the state and chairman Rivers Elders and Leaders Forum, Rufus Ada George, was speaking at a news conference in Port Harcourt in reaction to the peace resolutions reached between Governor Siminalayi Fubara and the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike. The former governor, however, thanks President Tinubu for responding to calls to intervene in the political crisis rocking the state.
It is therefore preposterous for the president to direct that the people who have existed service for personal reasons be reabsorbed.
Welcome back. I did tell you that 26 lawmakers did sit today and they made a decision in the Rivers State House of Assembly. It appears every other day you wake up, there's something going on in Rivers State. You may never know how all of this will end eventually. But the good news is that nobody is taking up arms against anyone. There is no physical conflict or fighting on anyone. It's just politicians doing what politicians do. And our job and our responsibility is to track as much as possible to bring it to the fore and expand the conversation to the best of our ability with our team of experts every time these things happen. So today, 26 of them sat, and one of the resolutions in the 8 resolutions that were directed after the meeting with the president in trying to quell the feud between the governor, Siminalayi Fubara, and his predecessor, the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, was the fact that, look, every impeachment move against the governor should be dropped immediately. That was exactly what they did today. At this plenary, you're seeing visuals on your screen when they decided to shelve that impeachment move against the governor. So out of the 7 resolutions, 1 has been done. Actually, 7 others are meant to be carried out by the governor. Whether he will do that or not, we're going to watch and see. And being joined in the program for this conversation by a public affairs analyst who is joining us from our Abuja studios, Mr. Jide Ojo. Mr. Jide, thank you so much for coming on the program yet again. Thank you for your time.
It's my pleasure, Jeffrey. Compliments of the season.
Absolutely, wishing you the same. So let's get straight to that conversation. And we're going to be joined sometime on the show, on the program, by a member representing a constituency in the Rivers State House of Assembly, who is part of the 26 members that sat today to make that decision to shelve their impeachment move. So as soon as we get him, he's going to join in the conversation. Let's get direct, views from the people in the eye of the storm. But for now, Mr. Ojo, I know you were with us talking about all of this and several other things of national interest. But now that are truths, I'm sure you've seen the 8-point resolution. I haven't had the opportunity to ask you what your first impressions are when you look at that agreement. Peace at last or fragile peace?
Well, incidentally, I weighed in on this issue in my column in the Punch of today. The title of that article is Governor Fubara, You Are on Your Own. And I tried to trace the genesis of this whole crisis from the time the House of Assembly was touched on October 29, down to the impeachment move on October 30, and the chains of reaction to that, including the defection of 27 members, the presentation of budget to 4 members, the signing of the budget after 1 day, many ludicrous things that should not be happening in democracy, which we have seen in the last 2 months or thereabout. Some people said, what is the president's own there? The president has no role. What he did was unconstitutional. And I agree. Yes, the Constitution did not assign roles of a mediator in an intra-party conflict to the president of the country. But we should not forget that he is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and the security and safety of every Nigerian is of utmost concern to him. And it's not everything that is constitutional or everything that is not constitutional that is illegal. We need to make that distinction. Something may not be in the Constitution, but that does not make it illegal if it happens. The mediatory role of Mr. President, in a way, as you have said in your background, has paved way for the withdrawal of the impeachment notice on the governor. And that is what actually set up that chains of reaction. From October 29, when the unknown arsonist, ignited explosives on the Rivers State House of Assembly, to the impeachment move the following morning, to the defection and all the court injunctions here and there. Many people have said, oh, why didn't we allow the court processes to play out? And I said, look, it's not so fast. Don't forget, these 27 lawmakers defected into the ruling party. And as a student of politics and history, the moment you come to the ruling party, you are protected somewhat. If you defect to opposition, that's when you may have trouble. As we have seen, the Edison Ehiye group were able to secure an injunction from Justice Danagogo last week, Tuesday, saying that is the recognized speaker. But how do you legislate for a state as old as Rivers State, 4 people legislating for that state? Some people have drawn parallel between what happened in Edo State and what happened in Rivers. And I said, no, you don't compare apples and oranges. In the case of Edo, 14 members were not inaugurated, but 10 were inaugurated and 10 carried out. 10 is more like even closer to half of the out of the members of Edo State House of Assembly. But where you have 4 out of 32, it does not make sense. And you could see that they could not perform any legislative function. The governor submitted, presented 800 billion naira, an appropriation bill last Wednesday, and by Thursday he already signed the appropriation law. Where was the first reading taken? Where was the second reading? Where was the committee work? The budget defense, did it ever happen? Was there any third reading? Was there any passage? So all of these constitutional provisions were breached. And yet you want the governor to carry on as if nothing has happened. In the course of this 2-month conflict, the old structure of the Rivers State House of Assembly has been demolished under the guise of rebuilding as a result of the fire incident on that building. And this will be rebuilt at a very huge cost to taxpayers of Rivers State. So it is cheaper to tow the path of peace. Yes, I do agree that the truce that was brokered was a bad deal in all material particular, in the sense that Fubara camp seems to get the short end of the stick. But be that as it may, this is a war situation. You cannot, Fubara is operating from a position of weakness, if permit my use of that word. It's not like those who are in the camp of Wike are more in number than those who are with the governor. And I'm not talking of the ethnic group that he comes from. I'm not talking of whether the Jaw nation was not behind him. We are talking of governance in terms of government structure. If you look at, within the 2 months, the 9 out of 19 commissioners have resigned. We do not know whether more will have resigned if that was not altered on Monday. So it shows that the governor should just have to live with the resolution and see what happens as time goes on.
There are so many questions to ask, and it may be an unending series of questions at the end of the day, which is why we're here to ask those questions. If you look at the resolution, all the way from number 1 to number 8, about 7 of them is something that is supposed to be carried out by the governor, and 1 carried out by, quote-unquote, the Wike camp. But before I get to some of the nitty-gritty of all of this, if you notice the ex parte orders, someone noticed that none is coming from an appellate court. It looks like courts of concurrent jurisdiction, all making decisions, more like forum shopping. I don't know, does that more like give a poor impression of the judiciary in this whole issue?
Exactly, Jeffrey. That is why I'm canvassing that this may be a bad deal on the surface, but it's better than allowing these cases to play themselves out in the court. We knew what happened. The Edo 14 went to court. And over 3 years, they never got any positive court injunction to enable them to be inaugurated. But here we are. As of today, the impeachment notice has been withdrawn. If you want this whole thing to play out in the court, given the fact that APC is the party in power, and APC will want to offer protection to these 27 lawmakers, I am of the opinion that the decision, the ex parte order of Justice Donatus Okorowo of Abuja Federal High Court will have stopped any attempt to declare those seats vacant. And INEC will not be in a position to conduct by-election into those offices. Let me give you a very quick instance. When did Dave Umahi, when did he leave Dave Umahi and Gaydam? When did they leave the Senate of the Federal Republic? That was about 4 months ago, or since August. But their seats were not declared vacant until today, because they belong to the ruling party. And, Senator Ifeanyi Ubah, also of YPP, defected to APC about a month ago. His seat was not declared vacant. And we know that there was no crisis in YPP. So when you are dealing with issues that are political in nature, you cannot resolve it through legalese. You cannot resolve it through the legal process. Because as we know, each of the camp will continue to do shopping of injunctions to tie the hands of any institution that want to work against their interest.
Thank God you mentioned the issue of YPP and the senator in Anambra, because it just dawned on me that to the best of our knowledge, we didn't have any, he didn't even allude to any disagreement within his party, and he defected, and no seat was declared vacant, and he joined. Does this mean that Section 109, subsection 1G, is of no value when it comes to our modern democracy, because the framers of the Constitution, I presume, I may be wrong, they may be looking at running political parties based on ideology. So you don't just change your ideology overnight because you have a discord or altercation or disagreement within your party and you jump ship. But it's like turning the Constitution on its head. You mentioned somebody who left and nothing happened, and some persons left, their seats were declared vacant. What does this mean for our Constitution?
Well, Jeffrey, we are still praying and hoping that there will be constitutionalism in Nigeria. When PDP was at the helm of affairs for 16 years, we saw all manner of impunities that were committed under them. We thought we have seen it all under PDP. APC has come now. It's like a postgraduate school. It has taken it a notch higher. And they are copying from the same textbook. If you commit an offense and you are a member of the ruling party, you have the protection of the ruling party. If you are from the opposition, the law is applied. So it's like what a friend of mine told me many years ago, that the law is for your enemies, the exception is for your friends. The law is for your enemies, the exception is for your friends. As it were, I'm sure if it were to be that these 27 lawmakers in Rivers defected into opposition party, their seats will have been declared vacant and federal authorities will have ensured that they are sanctioned because they have moved from the ruling party to the opposition. But in this case, they moved from opposition to the ruling party. And you could see that even on November 28th, as a prelude to what eventually happened last week Monday, when the 27 member defected, you could see that the national headquarters of APC dissolved the Rivers State APC Executive Committee and made Tony Okocha the caretaker chairman. And when they defected last week Monday, they welcomed them. So the law is for the enemy, the exception is for your friends. That is what is playing out.
Mr.
But
Ojo,
we are yet to get to the level of constitutionalism.
Yeah, as an organization and of course as journalists, we'll continue to do our job to make sure that we remind people of the Constitution, and it is the job of legal minds to interpret what all of this means. And that's why a legal mind, a senior advocate of Nigeria, has just joined us via Zoom. Mr. Ebun Adegborowa has joined us. Mr. Adegborowa, thank you so much, sir, for coming on the program.
Thank you. Good evening. It's my pleasure to be with you.
I also understand Enemy George, a member of the River State House of Assembly, has also joined us on the program. Mr. George, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Let me come to you, Mr. Adegborowa, as quickly as possible. Some have disagreed with the president for allowing certain directives to be included in the Constitution, which is what we're talking about in the resolution, because he brokered that resolution with the feuding party. And they feel that, as Mr. Ojo had mentioned, I just wanted your thoughts on it as well, since you're a lawyer and a senior one at that. They feel that certain resolution is contrary to the Constitution, especially the one that has to do with members still remaining in a new party and their seats declared vacant, but they are still members, as well as the representation of the budget as well. So I wanted your impression on these particular two issues of that resolution. Do you share their position or you have a contrary view?
Thank you very much. I think generally we have to sympathize with the people and government of Rivers State in respect of development happening in that state in recent times. We understand from the position of the law that the Constitution is the organic document that regulates our affairs as a nation. And in Section 1 of that Constitution, it is stated that the Constitution is supreme, and every other law that is inconsistent with the Constitution will, to that extent, be inconsistent and declared null and void. Not just law, but actions and decisions taken. Now, in respect of Rivers State, especially in relation to the issue of defection or declaration of the seats of members of the House of Assembly vacant, it is important to discover whether indeed a defection has taken place in the eye of the law. Such defection must be in line with the procedure specified by law, not a media event, because we've had cases in which people alleged to have defected from one party to the other, and when the matter got to court, it was discovered that such defection was not in line with the procedure prescribed by law. So if it is true that there is a defection in line with the procedure specified by law, by the 27 lawmakers, then of course, it will be proper to discover whether such defection is in line with the provisions of the Constitution as specified. Indeed, whether there is, for instance, a division within their political party. Now, if it is certified that indeed they have defected according to law, it is for the Speaker of the House of Assembly of the state, duly elected and recognized by law, to make a declaration as to the status of these lawmakers. The information I have, which I hope is correct, is that the Speaker of the House of Assembly of Rivers State, confirmed by a valid order of a court, has made a pronouncement concerning the 27 lawmakers. Now, it is left for us to discover whether indeed that pronouncement is valid in terms of the provisions of the Constitution. So if you ask me, what decision should we regard as valid in Rivers State? It will be that if the 27 lawmakers perfected their defection validly in line with the provisions of the law, then it will be proper to declare their seats vacant. Because presently, you can really not say that there has been any division within the People's Democratic Party in line with what is recognized by law. But having said that, the consequence of such declaration would be to find out what will be the status of the House of Assembly of Rivers State. I do not think it will be proper or democratic to proceed that 4 people, should be entitled to make laws and decide for the entirety of the people of Rivers State, where indeed the majority of that house exceeds 30. Democracy is a matter of numbers. So in that regard, it becomes very difficult to proceed, for instance, that only 4 people should continue to make laws and legislate for the people of Rivers State. That is, I think, where the dilemma arises from the current crisis that we have in Rivers State. And having said that, even if there's to be any intervention in seeking to resolve the political issue in Rivers State, such will be advisable, especially as it pertains to the resolutions that are said to have emerged from the meeting with the president in Abuja. The president has no constitutional role to play in deciding who becomes the Speaker of the House of Assembly of Rivers State. The president has no constitutional role to play in the discharge of the functions of the office of the governor of Rivers State. It is the same way that the president was elected, that indeed the people of Rivers State elected members of the House of Assembly of that state, and indeed the executive governor. So to that extent, any intervention in resolution of issues relating to the status of legislators in Rivers State or the decisions taken by the governor can only be advisory. And so there's no enforcement that can be given to such decision when it comes to interpreting the provisions of the Constitution. So to that extent, I believe that the matters of Rivers State remain the way they are, notwithstanding the alleged resolution with the president in Abuja.
All right, let's head to Port Harcourt now, where Enemi George has joined us. I did say that earlier. Mr. George, thank you again for coming on the program. All of this we're talking about concerns you and the other members. So let's put the record straight as much as possible. 26 members or 27 members, because sometimes we see these numbers, say 26, 27. How many are you people? I mean, the group that sat today, the Ameule, the speaker that sat today to make that decision to withdraw the notice. Let's begin with the numbers, Mr. George.
Yes, but I'd like to slightly correct you before that. Okay. There is no group. The House of Assembly sat today, okay. So not like the group. So we are 26 members, including the speaker. That's 27. So usually when you're counting members, you count 26. Then if you want to add the speaker, it comes to 27.
You know, sometimes in describing what is going on in Rivers State, it's a bit difficult to use certain terms because of legal issues. The reason I use the word group, because you're 27, if I'm correct, right? 27, and then 4 are not seated with you. So it looks like the next question, is there still a division among you since the HIE group is not part of this? Is there still a division? Or they didn't just show up? Or they stand suspended? What exactly is the status of the HIE group?
Okay, you know, there's a lot of misinformation out there.
Which is why you're here.
And then I think that, yes, I'm here because I'm chairman of House Committee on Information. I'm the spokesperson of the House of Assembly. But I think that we have crossed that Rubicon. I'll be very careful not to use words and clauses and phrases that will be inflammatory. The days behind us are dark days, and I think that it won't be proper, out of respect for Mr. President and also respect for this peace accord, it won't be proper for me to go back to those issues. That's on the one hand. Secondly, it's incorrect. There's a lot of misinformation out there, like I said earlier. People say, oh, the president gave a directive. No. Mr. President was called upon. Remember that a few days ago, people kept calling out and saying, oh, what's Mr. President doing? Mr. President should intervene. Mr. President should speak to these issues. And then finally, even some parties in this crisis ran to Mr. President and begged for his intervention. And finally, Mr. President intervened. In that meeting, all parties were present. All parties were party to all the items on the resolution. And then if someone says that what Mr. President did is unconstitutional, look, even our constitution recognizes alternate dispute resolution mechanisms. Okay, no father sleeps when his roof is on fire. Rivers State is very strategic to the economy and politics of Nigeria. So Mr. President did not force himself on us. Many people ran to him, and then he intervened and then advised. He didn't give directives. He advised, and then all the parties were there present and were a part of the making of those resolutions. They were a part of the making of the document. All items were raised, and everybody agreed. All parties had to make concessions. So it's not like anything was forced down anybody's throats. All parties were part of the making of the document, and then all parties agreed and signed off, and then we're where we're here today. So as we speak, there are no parties anymore. There's no who is on this side and who is on that side. There's just one side, and that side is Rivers State.
Yeah, it's quite easy. Mr. George, it's quite easy to say there's no this side, but 27 of you sat. The House is made up of 32. Unfortunately, one passed. The by-election should be coming up. Rerun election should be coming up sometime, I think, in February also, according to INEC. So technically, we were expecting, if peace has returned, we're supposed to see at least 31 of you seated, because that resolution was absolutely silent about the here and his group. They say, put back and recognize Martin Samuel as a speaker and don't interfere with whatever they do and all of that. So that is why I'm asking you straight up, without trying to say you're pitching against the president or no. That's not the conversation at all. First, why was that resolution silent about the people believed to be loyal to the governor, and was quite explicit on the position of the people believed to be loyal to the former governor? Keyword believed.
Sincerely, that matter was not even tabled. I think what Mr. President did was take the Constitution, he looked at the law, and then aligned himself with what the law would have said. Okay. And even though it wasn't tabled, I can't speak on behalf of, yes, I'm the spokesperson of the Assembly, but I can't speak on behalf of my colleagues because we have not taken a position on that. We haven't discussed that matter. But personally, I would expect that this peace accord is all encompassing. And so every right-thinking mind will expect that when the matter is eventually tabled, whenever that is, we will have the conversations, and then we will crush those issues, and then our colleagues will come back to work. If all of us agree in front of Mr. President that we accept the peace and want to move forward in the interest of our state, and then I think that eventually when the matter comes up and we discuss it, all of those issues will be handled. So I don't think there's any cause for alarm, really.
All right, before we go, we'll go for this break and come back to the Leonard Silk and Mr. Ojo is in Abuja. Straight question to you. I can see behind your bookshelf the APC flag or logo behind you. It is believed, according to you, you have interviewed you and you talked about how you were treated and all of that. You people were not happy. Now that this peace has returned, I'm sure the anger and whatever decision you took was because you were displeased and all of that, and you moved to the APC. Now that this peace and this truce has been reached, are you going back to the PDP?
My brother, we have crossed that Rubicon.
No, it's a straight, I always like to answer straight. I like to ask straight questions. Are you going back to the PDP or not?
No, we moved to the APC. I told you the other day that other than the old division issue in our party, we voted for Mr. President. And I told you that if we found Mr. President worthy of our votes, then I think we should find him worthy of our support. We have moved over to join his renewed agenda, to work hands in glove with him, to ensure that the expectations of Nigerians are fulfilled. And so we've moved to the APC. We are working with Mr. President. We have crossed that Rubicon, and there's no going back for us.
All right, we'll come back to you. Stay with us, Mr. Enemy George, member of the House of Assembly in Rivers State, the very man in the eye of the storm. I also have Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Bonlo Adegbaruwa, who is joining us via Zoom as well, and Mr. Jide Ojo, also standing by in our Abuja studios. He's a public affairs analyst. We're going to zoom into other part of the conversation as far as Rivers politics is concerned. Is this a harbinger to more things to come? We'll find out when we come back. Join us again. Welcome back. We're still talking Rivers politics because that's where the biggest story as far as politics is concerned is happening at the moment. And it's been a series of events. And now there is a resolution, 8-point resolution. Now, rather than that to quell things and calm things down, it has generated series of more controversy, which is why a member of the House of Assembly, Mr. Enemy George, is here to respond to those questions. He's a member who is part of the 27 that defected to the APC, as well as Senior Advocate of Nigeria, Bonlo Adegbaruwa, who is giving us a legal perspective to all of this, and Mr. Jide Ojo from our Abuja studios, public affairs analyst. Mr. Ojo, I'll come to you, but let me ask Mr. George one quick question. Mr. George, were you in the room when this agreement was made?
Oh, yes, I was.
So how many people were in the room? I mean, the governor was, just give us, I mean, your group, give us an idea who was there, because we saw the signatures of the FCT minister, the NSA, I think the chief of staff, if I'm not, I stand to be corrected, I think the governor as well as his deputy. So tell us who and who. We didn't see pictures. We just saw a resolution. So who was in the room?
We had a lot of people in the room. I'm not sure of the number, but I'm sure we were way over between 100 and 150. I'm not certain. Because we have members of National Assembly.
Okay.
We had
go ahead.
Members of Senate, House of Reps. We had members of the House of Assembly. We had the governor. We had his commissioners. We had the deputy governor. We have elder statesmen. We had 2 former governors in the meeting. We had traditional rulers. The chairman of the Rivers State Traditional Rulers Council was there alongside other traditional rulers. Elders and opinion leaders in the state were present. It was massive, maybe even close to 200. I'm not so certain now.
All right, just a quick question before I go to Mr. Ibu and then head to Abuja for Mr. Ojo for his perspective. So I usually, when we see visuals, because before elections, we see the peace committee come together, and after whatever has been done, people come to us. At what point did they sign? Was it after that? Did they sign immediately and you saw the governor, everybody signed? The reason I'm asking that question is because you were in the room, you were a witness, because some people are wondering, did the governor really sign this? Didn't he sign this? Why is his pen in blue? Why is his pen in black and all of that? So straight question, eyewitness, the governor signed this and you saw it, right?
Yes. So I'm going to tell you, this is how it went. For every item that was considered, Mr. President gave both parties the option of controverting or agreeing. So each item was deliberated. Item 1, this, that. Do you both agree? Yes, we agree, or no, we don't agree. Item 2, do you all agree? Your Excellency, Mr. Governor, you agree? Yes. Mr. Speaker, do you agree to this item? Are you willing to do this? Yes. The next item comes, the same thing. Next item until the items were exhausted. At the end of all the deliberations, parties were now asked to come up and append their signature to that document. And Mr. President said, do I have your approval to release this to the press? Everybody echoed yes. And so everybody signed off on the document, and then we moved forward. So the governor was there. The governor signed. The governor made a speech after the meeting that he was committed to that agreement. Mr. Speaker also made a speech and committed to accepting all the terms of the agreement and committing to work with that document.
All right. Senior Advocate, let me come to you. Mr. Ojo, I'll come to you in a moment. We've got to understand the Senior Advocate may just be wrapping up with us. So, Senior Advocate, when you look at that agreement, do you see the governor following through? I know you're not the governor, but just seeing and reading through and seeing what is there, do you see him following through all of this agreement?
It's not about the governor. It is what the law says. There cannot be 2 speakers of a House of Assembly in the eye of the law. Then also there cannot be 2 budgets for a state. The governor has presented a particular budget and it's been signed into law. So there is a law in existence. And then also, if it is true as the legislator has alleged that there's been a valid defection in law, and there's been an intervention declaring seats vacant following that defection, the law has intervened. It's a difficult thing to set aside. So having said that, under our constitution, the governor is with executive power rather, and he cannot be taken to Aso Rock or any other extraneous location for the purpose of governance. The people who elected him are in Rivers State. The seat of power is in Port Harcourt. It's a difficult thing to take people outside that domain and have external forces intervene to decide the fate of people who elected others into office. So it doesn't matter whether the governor agrees or not. The fact is what the law says. And then also, I believe that there's need for caution on the part of His Excellency, the governor of Rivers State, because no matter what is your grievance concerning another arm of government, you cannot take the law into your hand. Having said what we have said about the legislators who claim to have defected, I don't think it's proper for a governor to wake up one day and demolish the House of Assembly of a state being the sitting location of another arm of government. We must situate the kind of impunity going on in Rivers to all the parties. As you speak it to the former governor of Rivers State, we should also speak it to the present governor. You cannot take over the responsibility of another arm of government. Just like the same way the former governor of Rivers State, who is now the FCT minister, cannot continue to dictate the pace of affairs to the people of Rivers State, having been exhausted his tenure as governor. People in Nigeria must learn to accept the will of the people. The will of the people of Rivers State presently is that Governor Fubara is in charge of that state and must be allowed to govern. Asoro cannot dictate for the people of Rivers State, with all due respect. I accept the position of the legislator that Rivers State occupies.
Leonard Silk, can you, we had a connection problem. Can you hear me, sir? All right, Ebonlo Adegborowa, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, giving his perspective, of course, on this particular controversial issue. Let's head to our Abuja studio. Mr. Ajide, thank you so much for your patience, as always, for coming through. We heard the governor say that no price is too high to pay for peace. Now, when you look at him, his body language, and everything that has happened, I'm grateful that the lawmaker is here who walked us through how everything came through, from reading the resolution one after the other and allowing people to air their views whether they agreed or not. Do you think he signed up to this out of his own free will?
Well, again, I'm not Governor Fubara, but if he didn't do it out of free will, after getting to Port Harcourt, he shouldn't have said at the Palmo University convocation yesterday that there is no price that is too much to pay for peace. And I think we should tread the path of peace. Again, the collateral and colossal damages that awaits Nigeria and Rivers State, if we don't tread the path of peace, is much more than all this English that we are speaking. If assassination starts to take place in the coming weeks, and this issue was not nipped in the bud, people will still blame Mr. President for not showing interest. I recall that under former President Olusegun Obasanjo, he actually had to travel to Ibadan to mediate between the strongman of Ibadan politics, Alhaji Lamide Adedibu, and former Governor Lamade Shino. They both went to meet him at the Ibadan airport. This was eyewitness account as given by Alhaji Adedibu of blessed memory himself, that President Obasanjo had to come all the way from Abuja to Ibadan to mediate in the internal crisis of AD in that period, between Baba Adedibu and former Governor Lamade Shino. So there is a precedent to presidential intervention in internal affairs of states because every state matters. But I would just encourage that Governor Fubara should not listen to those who are urging him on to denounce this peace accord. It's not going to be in the enlightened best interest of the ordinary citizens of Rivers State. The elite in Rivers have means of protecting themselves. They are riding in bulletproof cars. They have security details. Ordinary citizens of Rivers State do not have. What they want is good governance. And when there's a distraction, the kind of which we have seen in the last 2 months, it does not go well for good governance. Today alone, the governor has done 2 things that have endeared him to the people of Rivers State. He has given 100,000 bonus to every worker in Rivers State. And I learned he has also given bursary award to all Rivers students. That is the kind of thing Rivers people elected him to do, not to play politics get distracted. If these resolutions will bring about lasting peace, let all the dramatists personnel in Rivers abide by the terms and conditions. After all, before the move to impeach the governor, everything was quiet. There was no ruckus in Rivers until that impeachment move. And I want to align with what my senior advocate said about Minister of FCT allowing the governor to govern. He's not the only godfather in Nigerian politics. Mr. President was godfather and is still godfather to many politicians. In Lagos, in Southwest, there are many people who emerge governors through the benevolence of Jagaban of Bogu, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He didn't break down their neck. He allowed them to govern. So I want to believe that it is also of utmost importance for His Excellency, former governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, to allow Governor Similaye Fubara to govern so that there is no executive interference in his governance programs and activities. Once that is done, after all, we have had several people who also have been godfathers to many other people within different states of Nigeria. So Rivers should not be different. Let there be no foreign or external interference in the governance of Rivers State. Let Governor Fubara also abide by the resolutions of this Abuja Peace Accord. As bad as it may look, it's still better than going through the litigious process that may take years to conclude.
All right, let's head back to Mr. George. Mr. George, thank you as always. I always thank you for being here. I look at the resolution and I see that you have done your part, which is to withdraw the impeachment notice. There are 8 resolutions. And of course, number 5 is the fact that the Rivers State House of Assembly shall choose where they want to sit and conduct their legislative business without interference or hindrance from the executive, and which looks like what has happened today. Now, all eyes are on the governor to fulfill the other one. So my question to you, what if he doesn't? Will the Assembly reintroduce this impeachment notice? Because there are some that look a bit difficult, which is why some people are saying, is he still in charge? Can he still be governor and be accepting this? So if he doesn't follow through with some of the resolution as agreed, as you said, what happens? Are you introducing the impeachment again, or what's the next move for you guys?
I would advise for all of us to be optimistic. At this point, we just want our state to move forward. You know, all sorts of people will come out and say all they want to say. Mischief makers and malevolent minds are cashing out. Of course, they want funds to be able to go to do protests, to still continue to go to press houses and make their speeches and just capitalize on the crisis. Everyone who means well for River State will pray for peace. And we'll hope that all the terms that all of us came together and agreed upon will be respected. I don't expect that anyone will renege on any part of those resolutions. So I want to stand on the side of optimism, and then think that there's no need to begin to imagine what will happen if this person or that person does not keep to the terms of the agreement.
Okay.
So I think optimism is it for me.
There's a nexus between politics and the law at some point, which is why we have the law to guide all of us. And I know that I remember that whilst all of this was going on, a bill was passed to stop the governor from, dissolving the assembly and all of that. The local government administration, or tampering with it, as it says. And it was captured in the resolution. I think that was the very last item. There shall not be a caretaker committee for local government areas in River State. The dissolution of the local government administration is null and void and shall not be recognized. And some people in politics, politicians like you, see that when a governor controls the local government, he has some structure. It looks like this is making sure he doesn't control the party structure. Do you think he's comfortable with this resolution, which is why we're asking whether you think he will follow through?
No, it is simply law. You know, I was speaking to AIT earlier, and I told them that I think the president just took the constitution and aligned himself with it. Caretaker committees are not known, is not known to law, is not known to our constitution. Judicial precedents, case law is replete with precedents. The Supreme Court had given a judgment that there can't be caretaker committees. What the Constitution knows is an elected local government. And so the issue of it's not about it's about aligning ourselves with the law. We tried to amend that law because we wanted to be in consonance with the Constitution.
Okay, Mr. George, sorry, my apologies. I understand my time is totally out.
So
my apologies. Just quick question because I'm totally out of time. The reason I asked that question, remind me, were you in the last assembly or this is your first?
I was in the last assembly.
Were you in the two administrations of Governor Nyesom Wike?
Oh, yes, I was.
And you did not pass this resolution or this bill to ensure that Governor Nyesom Wike doesn't tamper with the local government. I hope you see where that is coming from, right?
Laws are
why
made.
Now? Why now? That's the question. We know it's the law. We're just people are wondering why now.
Are made according to trends. Ask yourself, when did the local government autonomy issue begin? It began sometime last year. From the National Assembly to the state levels to court levels. At the time, the issues were not burdened.
Okay.
So look at history. The issues of local government began last year.
All right.
From
I understand.
The National Assembly to the new laws. So that's what is a trend.
I understand we're totally out of time. I understand we're totally out of time, Mr. Enemi. Thank you so much, Mr. Ojo. I'm so sorry I can't take your last thought. Thank you so much. We're totally out of time. And that's it on the program. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma. God bless Nigeria.